Hi there, Miranda Alt here with Keller Williams Success Real Estate, the Miranda Alt team with your Monday market update for Monday, March 25th, 2024. Hope you had a great weekend and a happy start to spring break around here. Not sure if that's what's happening in your area, but around here we have schools off. So many kids are at home and lots of people getting ready to come to market. I know personally I have about 9 homes that are prepping this week to go on the market. So this is a big time for the spring market here in our area. Unfortunately, the weather's not cooperating very well. We've got another cloudy, gloomy, looks like it wants to rain, looks like it kind of wants to snow kind of a day. Crappy. So if you're out of town, lucky you. Hope you're enjoying it. Let's take a quick look at our McHenry County numbers for the last 7 days. We had 129 new listings. We had 136 go under contract, so again, more under contract than newly listed. We had 86 closed sales, 33 price changes, 50 on the private market, and 6 expireds. Now that's more expireds than we've had before, so I went and looked a little deeper. Which homes are actually expiring? Which homes are not selling in a market like this where we have very low inventory? What kind of homes are not selling? Basically, the ones that expired had very short listing periods. So they were only listed for maybe 2 weeks and then they expired and then now they're listed new again. So those are actually, all of those 6 expireds actually were also newly listed. So some of these homes are definitely being double counted. Then I dove deep into the homes that are under contract. Of those 136, kind of what are the under contract codes? So when a home gets put under contract, we mark it as like attorney review and inspection, which would be AI, so that it might be under contract just waiting to go through the attorney review and inspection period. Some of them are pending. I don't really know why some agents mark them pending versus under contract. It's virtually the same thing. A lot of them were just financing, meaning that they have gone through all of the other contingencies and now they're just waiting for their financing to be approved. Very few of them actually had home close contingencies. So I want to talk about that just for a moment. So when you're putting a home under contract, a lot of people who are moving have to sell their home in order to buy their next home, which is a very tricky maneuver in a market like this where we have very few homes for sale versus how many buyers are on the market. Now, yes, we do have very low demand because not as many people want to leave their current low interest rate and buy a new home. So we have lower numbers of people looking, but we also have lower transactions overall. So we have low inventory because there are far less homes on the market for how many buyers are out there looking, okay? So yes, there are less people looking for homes, but there's way less homes on the market. So of the under contract homes, only 7 of them had a home close contingency. None of them had a home sale contingency. So a lot of times when I'm with just regular people that are not in the real estate world, they talk about contingencies. Oh, this home doesn't have a contingency. We don't have a contingencies. There's lots of contingencies in a real estate contract. Only one of them might be a home sale contingency. Now that's typically what people are referring to when they talk about a contingency, but there's lots of other contingencies. Your financing, if you're getting a loan, that is a contingency. If you are going to do an inspection, that is a contingency. You're going to have your attorney review the document, that's a contingency. So there's lots of contingencies in a real estate contract. But the one that people talk about the most is the home sale contingency. So if you are a person who wants to buy your next home, let's say, one of the people that I'm working with, the reason that they want to sell and they want to move is because their kids are getting bigger. They have 4 children in a 3-bedroom home. They need more bedrooms. They need more space. Their kids are little now, but they are going to get bigger and they are already feeling the crunch of their small home. They really have to move. They bought their home as a 2-year home or a 5-year home, and it ended up being a 15-year home. So it's time to go. So those people, how do they navigate this process? Well, if they want to write an offer that has a home sale contingency, meaning the house is not on the market, it does not have a contract, they have to sell their house in order to get a home, to move to buy their next home. Those are almost not being accepted, almost at all. In fact, of the 136 homes that went under contract, only 7 of them had home close contingencies. Home sale contingency is that when they have to actually sell it, it has no contract. Home close means it already has a contract. It just has to get to closing. Most of those homes actually, even if you're going to go write an offer that has a home close contingency, it's already through the attorney review and inspection period. So you're not going to really write an offer unless your home is like through any parts that might, a lot of deals fall apart when it's under attorney review and inspection. Once you're through that period, I shouldn't say a lot, some, it's more common. After you're through the attorney review and inspection period, very few homes actually fall apart unless the financing doesn't go through. So we had only 7 of the 136 actually had a home close contingency. All the rest of them were simply financing or attorney review or whatever it is. So most offers are not being written with a home sale contingency. So if you are one of those people, how do you do this? Well, all of my sellers who are buyers, I have talked to them and said, I want you to talk to your lender about potentially qualifying to carry both mortgages at the same time. I know you don't want to. I don't want you to either. But in order to have a competitive advantage in this market, you need to be able to write an offer that is not contingent upon you selling your home. We're going to sell your home. We're going to make sure it gets sold. But we have to be able to write the offer that doesn't have your purchase being contingent upon your sale. So they talk to their lender. They say, okay, can I buy this next house without selling my first house? If the answer is yes, then we can move forward in that fashion, because it's just so competitive that to write a home sale contingency is just extremely difficult. So that's typically what we do. And then what we do is we make sure that their home is all ready to go. So I have 6 staging appointments set up for this week and next week. That is so I can bring my stager in, we get the photos, we get everything ready to go, so that all we have to do once we find them their house is hit the activate button. So they're going to write an offer on their house that they want so that they can find the house first. Then the minute that they have found their house, they've gotten it under contract and they know that they're good to go on their purchase side, we're going to activate their listing and we are going to go all at it. I censored myself a little bit there. We are just going to hit it and we are going to get their house sold really fast so that they aren't nervous about owning 2 homes at the same time. Okay, so that's kind of how we navigate a market like this, because it is really hard to think about how are you going to move in a market where there's very little for sale. So you don't really want to put your house up for sale and get it under contract and then you don't have a place to go. So how do you kind of do this? So there are ways that we do this, and it does work, and it is very easy when you've done it as many times as I've done it. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about, is kind of how do we navigate the home close. We're going to talk a little bit about inflation. Inflation has been flat lately. It has not gone up or down, which makes the feds really very hesitant to do anything with interest rates. They have the target of 2% inflation rate, which is like almost impossible. Unemployment is holding steady at 3.9. Now it ticked up just a little bit. It was at 3.7 2 weeks ago. It's at 3.9 right now. That's the highest that it's been in 2 years. So one of the things that people don't understand is the correlation between unemployment numbers and interest rates. So to try and sum it up very easily, basically when our economy is doing very well and unemployment is low, most people are employed, the stock market's doing well, when our economy is chugging along, the feds do not want to lower interest rates because that can cause more inflation. So they don't really want to lower the interest rates in a market like this because the economy is doing well. They don't want to mess it up. They can send us into a recession if they don't do something. So it gets really difficult. It's very complicated. I will say I understand it enough to understand when interest rates are going to come up and when they're going to go down. I don't understand all the ins and outs of it, but I know that when we have a strong economy, we typically have higher interest rates. Now remember, interest rates actually ticked up over the last couple of weeks. They're up to around 7% again. They've really been kind of steady though for quite some time. They've really been sort of in that high 6s, low 7s area since the beginning of the year. They did come down in January and February, and now they're starting to tick back up a little bit. So we are seeing them really pretty steady. We don't anticipate that they are going to lower interest rates until 2025 at this point in time. Most of the feds are talking about 2025 is going to be the year when they'll start to talk about rate cuts, but they're not going to do any right now. When we have a strong economy, we do not have low interest rates. Low interest rates come when we have a recession or a worldwide pandemic. We don't want either one of those things, so we're going to have higher interest rates. And remember, 7% is not a high interest rate, historically speaking. 8% is historically average. Many people that I've been talking to have been talking about their parents buying their house at 18% interest rate. So 8%, 7% is not bad. It just feels bad because it's been so low for so long. So remember, that was because we were in the Great Recession, followed by the worldwide pandemic. That's why interest rates were so low. I feel like more and more people are starting to understand this concept. More and more when I'm out talking to people, they understand when I start to say interest rates are not high, they say, yeah, my parents bought their house at 18%. And people are saying, yeah, they were too low for too long. So this narrative is starting to get through to people, and people are starting to understand. That's why we do see people being willing to move when it's needed. You know, all of the buyers that I'm working, or all of the sellers that I'm working with, and all the people who are also buyers, they all have life situations that are causing them to move. And that is still going to continue to happen. People are still going to buy and sell real estate. It's always going to happen. And it's always a good time to buy the right piece of real estate, especially if you're looking at either buying or renting. Renting is 100% interest rate. Let's not forget about that. If you are renting, you are paying down zero principal. You are not making any money on that investment whatsoever. So it's always the right time to buy the right piece of property. Interest rates are steady. We talked about that a little bit. We still have very low inventory in McHenry County. Currently, we have 1.3 months inventory through the whole county. It's lower in some areas, a little bit higher in others. That's pretty much been flat for quite some time. Pretty much since January of 2023, McHenry County has had extremely low inventory. So if you're talking to people from other parts of the country, do not listen to them, because real estate is hyper local. Even Chicago is different from McHenry County and our area out here. It's not going to be the same as it is in Chicago. I've heard agents in Chicago talk about how they're getting more inventory. We're not seeing that here. We don't have builders building. I read a report this morning that was talking about how in some areas, they are estimating that we are about 1.5 million homes behind in our inventory in terms of builders building. We need about 1.5 million homes nationwide in order to catch up to the deficit that we saw from the lack of building that happened between 2008 and 2020. We just did not have enough homes being built, and therefore we are so low with our inventory. Speculation for this year, more of the same. Continued low inventory, continued higher interest rates. It's just not much is going to change that we anticipate. Now I want to talk very briefly about the NAR settlement. I don't want to talk about it a lot because nothing is final, but a lot of people have been saying, you really should talk about it. A lot of people watch my videos and they want to hear what I have to say in regards to the NAR settlement. I don't have anything to say at this point in time. It is not final. We will not know until a judge sees it if this is going to go through. It is not the end of real estate agents. It is not the end of commission. I don't work for free. I'm sure you don't work for free. So it's not the end of commissions. It's basically just going to make the buyer agent compensation more transparent, that a buyer's agent is getting paid and that the buyer is actually the one paying that commission. The only things that are going to change is that we can no longer list the commission that is being offered for the buyer's agent in the MLS. And I cannot show a property to a buyer without a written agreement stating what I expect to get paid by that buyer. So the buyer is going to be expected to pay me. They always have. It's just always been sort of disguised or hidden a little bit in the closing costs. But nothing is really going to change fundamentally. So as of right now, that's all I'm really prepared to say. People are still going to have to pay commissions. They've talked about real estate agents are going to go the way with travel agents. Well, that's to imply that travel agents don't exist anymore, and they do. I know plenty of travel agents that say, we're still here. And quick story, my family and I took a trip over January to Hawaii. And we did not use a travel agent. We did it by ourselves. And I will tell you why you don't do that. We got an estimate from a travel agent for a trip for the four of us for $25,000 that we thought was absolutely insane to go to Hawaii for $25,000. We thought, oh my gosh, that's a ridiculous amount of money. We'll never want to spend that. That is absurd. We're not spending that amount of money on a trip. All I will tell you is that we planned it all by ourselves. We had a great time. We spent more money than the travel agent would have had us spend. We would have saved money using a travel agent. So if you would like to compare real estate agents to travel agents, go right ahead. I actually will never travel again without a travel agent because I think they save us money. And there's a lot of things that real estate agents do that people don't understand. Just last week, I had an appraisal that came in low. I went and fought for my client. We could not change the appraisal, but we did get the buyer to bring money to the table in order to bridge the gap of how much money that was the difference between the contract price and the appraised value. So I saved my clients about $9,000. So they more than paid my commission by me fighting for them there. It is not going to be something that people are... Your home is the largest purchase you're ever going to be involved in. Why would you want to try and do that alone? I'm not going to try and do heart surgery alone. I'm going to hire a professional, someone who knows how to do it. I can't do it by myself. There is a reason that we have professionals, and that will continue. So that's all I'm going to say about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit. It's really not going to change anything. The media has it all wrong. If it bleeds, it leads. And they are, coming up with headlines that make people want to read it. So they're reading it. So there you go. I'm Miranda Alt with Keller Williams Success Real Estate and the Miranda Alt team. If you have any more questions about any of this, please feel free to give me a call. Shoot me a text. I'm at 815-529-0777. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. And have a great day. Bye.